Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Milton Spence here with Milt's Coaching Corner. I just want to say thank you once again for everybody tuning and checking in with me, making sure that I'm okay, making sure that you're okay, and making sure that we are all good. I appreciate each and every person for allowing me the opportunity to be able to come through and share with you guys not only just a good message, but prayerfully a message that will resonate with you beyond just this moment and resonate with you beyond what it is that is today. I know for a fact that we've been talking this month based upon relationships and based upon what's good and what's healthy for us. And I'm grateful that we have been, because I know wholeheartedly that it is essential for us to be able to come into fruition with what it is that we need versus what it is that we think that we need. So I'm grateful for you all for allowing me the space and the time in your space and time to be able to share with you this good news and be able to share with you guys everything that is what is a great episode and a great series on relationships and how we can get closer with one another and closer with ourselves overall. Listen, so today, today's topic ultimately is over, setting boundaries and how to set those boundaries in order to make sure that you have a healthy relationship with others, and not just that, be able to set the boundaries within yourself to make sure that you have a healthy relationship within your mind. I remember speaking with somebody this past weekend, and what we discussed was how the mind is a battlefield. Joyce Myers has a book called Battlefield of the Mind, and I remember reading that book when I was roughly about 17 years old, back when I was in high school, because I was struggling with some things, going through some heartbreaks and things like that. And so because I was reading on that book, I started to understand how much I was struggling due to what was in my own head, not just what was happening in my relationship, but what was in my own head. And what was extremely profound to me ultimately was the fact that, how can I say this? What was profound ultimately was the fact that I didn't have not just all the answers, but I didn't even have the answers after I read the book. What I had was a formula of peace. And when I say formula, I mean I had a means to put it into action, right? And I believe that most of us want to know the boundaries. We want to know the steps. But the issue is the action items, right? What we must do in order to make sure that now these things, such as the boundaries that we will now set, are put into action. Like, how do I do that going forward? How do I make sure that I am affording myself that opportunity to, put these things into action? Boundaries are tough, because boundaries mean that you no longer are taking it, meaning that you're no longer doing it. You're no longer going along with it. You are now in a space and a time where you're going to do your own thing. And so because those boundaries are there, and because those boundaries are tough, you have to be willing to uphold the boundaries that you set. Not just that, but you have to be willing to do what it is that is to be done in order to ensure that those boundaries can be something that, what's the word I'm looking for? Can be something that is done and upheld. And because of this, I know there are many of you out there that will struggle in order to put your boundaries into place. I do not have the magic wand in order to do it, but I will say this, that the boundaries that you have to set in place, the boundaries that you must put forward for yourself, is not only healthy, but it is necessary, because you are not meant to not have boundaries for yourself, like places you can't go, even if it's mentally. And not only are you supposed to have boundaries for self, but you also should have boundaries for others in order to make sure that you maintain a healthy act and reaction to each and everything that you are doing. Now, this whole aspect of what I'm speaking of is the factor of striving towards perfection. And striving towards perfection means that you had to be willing to be imperfect in order to do it. In order to be perfect at something, you have to be imperfect at it first. You have to be able to accept the fact that you won't do it well at first. You won't accept it well at first. You won't be good at it at first, and that's okay. I can live with that. You can live with that. We can live with the fact that you won't be good at it at first. And I really believe, I thoroughly believe wholeheartedly that you and me have a ways to go when it comes down to doing what it is that we get the action item. So today, what we will discuss is not just the boundary, but we will discuss the action item. Now, I don't want to just discuss boundaries based upon, how to just set a boundary in 3 steps. I don't know if you guys have realized that about me at this moment, but I'm not that way. The reason I'm not that way is because I've come to realize in this life, more so than anything, that that following steps normally leaves out things, because it's not a one size fit all, and it's also not something that just fits me specifically. It may fit us by like 50%, but then there leaves another 50%, right, that we must adhere to. So because of this, I want to make sure that I expel to you all the boundaries that you should be setting, not just in the form of steps, but in the form of actualization, and how to set those boundaries in a manner to follow them as well. So first things first, I believe wholeheartedly the first boundary we should set with others and set with self is the boundary of respect. Now, respect is one of those things that, whether you see it as a boundary or not, it definitely is, because it lets people know where to go with you and where not to go with you. It lets people understand who you are and what you are. Respecting a person's character also means that you have the ability, and respecting, your own character means you also have that ability to be able to set a standard, meaning this is how this person wants to be treated. And because of this, you now have a standard set in place of respect and character actualization that people around you know where to go with you and where not to go with you. And I have to say that once you set these standards, you cannot waver. You can only improve. And the way you improve is by understanding that some of the standards you set may or may not be practical. It may be out of fear. It's a very deep subject I'm trying to tackle, so just stick with me. Your standards, right? Your character, your respect, the way you actualize this is to, number one, find out if you respect yourself. That's number one. Find out what your character is. That's number two. And number three, can you set the standard with yourself by yourself first, before you come out here and try to tell me how to talk to you and how to deal with this and how to handle this? Make sure you're doing that with yourself first, because I do not want to be put in a position where you're asking me for a certain level of respect, but you don't treat yourself that way. And so for me, the type of man that I am, that becomes very confusing, because I wonder to myself, if you even understand the capacity of which you're asking me to operate with you. And not just that, but the capacity that you're asking me to fake it with you. And one thing I am not good at is faking it with people who do not have the standard or the substandard in order to be sure that this is how they want to be treated. The standard or substandard to understand if this is how they want to be treated. Why? Because I watch how they treat themselves. So because I watch how people treat themselves, and because I know that you ultimately do the same thing, it lets you know without the person saying anything how to treat them. Most of us look at it and say, it's how they treat me. How they treat you is a substratum of how they treat themselves. That's it. Themselves. How they treat themselves is just the magnification onto you. They transfer that energy to you. They transfer that over to you to say, this is how I feel about myself, so I'm going to tell you how I feel about you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this to you. Because ultimately, people who carry a load within, the first thing they want to do is let it off. They want to let it loose. They don't want to hold it. Because they don't want to hold it, now they end up just shooting that off at you. And what ends up happening specifically and respectfully is those people ultimately start being a surefire way in order for y'all never, ever, ever to cross paths in a sense of respect, because they don't respect themselves. So ultimately, your goal is to, number one, understand if you respect yourself, understand your character, understand the respect of self, and then turn around and be able to set the standard with self to be able to live that out amongst other people. The standards, the boundaries, and everything that you have to come from a genuine place in order for you to be able to follow them. Because if you do not have this at a genuine spot, if you're not genuine with how you're doing this, you're only going to waste your time trying to set standards with people, because people may follow it and it may feel good initially, but eventually they will see the lion in sheep's clothing, and they will see that you are a fraud on how you treat yourself versus how you're asking people to treat you. I, Milton Craig Spence III, have a standard in place based upon how I treat myself. I do not expect anybody to disrespect me. Why? Because I don't disrespect myself. I do not expect anybody to talk down to me, because I don't talk down to myself. The greatest part about that is this: because I don't expect this, because I don't do this, I also deal with people in a capacity and a range in a way where they see, wait a minute, this is how he operates with me, and this is how he treats himself. You know how people may say, it's something about the way you carry yourself. This is how he is. I cannot come to him half-stepping. Now, I'm not trying to say I'm the end-all be-all, because I'm not. Not one bit am I the end-all be-all. But what I am is a gentleman and a man who respects himself enough to be able to look you in your face and let you know, hey, please do not speak to me in that manner. Please do not operate with me in that manner. And it has nothing to do with you at all. It has everything to do with, this is how I want to be treated. This is how I treat myself. And I've never met people, oh, you want to return that same energy. I don't want to give you the same energy, because that's not me. I don't want to return fire for fire. If everybody's burning each other, eventually we all die. You know, an eye for an eye. Eventually we die. It's just what it is. So because I don't want to return the energy, now I have further set the standard from within. I have further let people know this is who and what I am. I have further began to set the stage for how we will interact going forward. And because I have set that stage, you have the ability to try to trample on said stage, but you don't have the ability to take me outside of my character, due to the fact that I will not meet you where you are. In that, I will only stand firm in the fact that I, Milton Craig Spence III, am this way and will do this based upon the fact that I have high character, I value myself, I have self-respect, and I'm only growing in that because I only want to get better in that. I do not want to be a person who does not respect himself. I do not want to be a man who does not respect the environment around him. So I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm respecting myself. I'm respecting my character. I'm actualizing, I'm self-actualizing everything that I am, right? And I'm not imposing it on people, but I am setting the stage and the standards to let people know this is how I am. This is how I will operate. And it don't mean that you don't have to. It just means that if you will not do that, if you're not operating with me in that manner, then we cannot be acquainted. And that's just what it is. I don't have to return you energy. I don't have to be petty back. I don't have to give you that same energy. I just need to remove myself. And the problem is that so many people see setting a standard as making people treat them a certain way. You don't have to make people do anything, because people are going to do what people want to do anyway. Your best bet is to set the stage and set the standard from within, so that way when people come in and they cross the boundary, you are able to let them know, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. This is the boundary that I have within, and I need you to stay behind this line, because I do not cross that with myself, and I do not do that with myself. Now, the biggest thing that can happen in this is that sometimes, you can get into setting these standards and stages and so much from within that you forget that you could become rigid, right? You could become extremely rigid. And because you could become extremely rigid, now you put yourself in a space and a time where you no longer, well, we call it being set in your ways, but you no longer want to hear facts or truth. You only want to hear what appeases you. And that is a dangerous place to be. Reason being is because the standard that you have set for yourself, it has to be a genuine and real place, not something that you're comfortable with, but something that you understand that you have set in order to be better to yourself, and not just that, but ultimately be better to others. Now, if you're deciding not to cross lines such as, I won't talk about this because I don't want to heal from it, and I'm going to set a standard or a boundary that don't cross this line and talk to me about this because I don't want to hear it, then you're not, that is not self-respect. That is not high character. High character means that I have gone through the fire and I've built myself up to withstand hurts and pains. Not just that, but I've understood how to get through them and over them, and it's only built me up. And so the standard that I have now is meaning that I will not allow you to do what was done to me in order to get me to that place that I have healed from, that I have come past. Last week's episode was on trauma. So because last week's episode was on trauma, we have to understand that healing has to take place first in order for us to get to this space. It has to take first. Your healing has to take place in order for you to be able to get to this space where you actually respect yourself. Let's respect ourselves, and let's respect every aspect of self. We have to respect ourselves. There is nothing out here that I can say to you that will make you heal, that will make you be a different person. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to go into your secret place and decide, I want to be a better person. I want to do this a better way. I want to love. I actually want to give. I actually want to do this way. You can't hide behind anything else in your life. I don't want you hiding behind me. I don't want you hiding behind the fact that you won't heal. I don't want you hiding behind this very thing. I'm going to set the standard that nobody can talk to me about the fact that I need to actually go to counseling. If you have issues, if you have things going on within your head, there are professionals out here who are willing to help you. This is what they love to do. And they have signed themselves up to talk to us and help us through our crazy moments and crazy times. Because I'm here to tell you, folks, nobody out here is sane. You have people who are more sane than others, but you have nobody out here is 100% sane. People who are more sane, talk to them about what they've been through. Not just what they deal with, right? They don't just patch it up. Talk to them about what they've been through. Because I'm one of those people where I can honestly say that I have been doing the work to become more sane, to have more self-respect, to have more self-value, self-worth. Because truthfully, I do not want to have to fight you, myself. Only thing I fight is in the spirit realm. And that is to get through and to get better. I don't fight against nothing that's good. And if, as far as I'm concerned, people are only influenced to be bad or evil. They're influenced to be that way. We are not necessarily born to be that way. There's an influence there. And because there's an influence there, I and you must understand that that influence has everything to do with how we adjust and how we operate and how we move within each other. And I, for one, do not want to see anybody fail or anything of that nature. I want to see you succeed, and I want to see you and your family have not just standards where you don't talk to each other, you don't deal with the things that are necessary, but have standards set in place that you're operating with this in mind, because you are doing it based upon how you treat yourself. These are collective thoughts that I'm speaking. And the thoughts that I have are to let you all know, I want you to be safe. I want you to love yourself. And I want you to come out of not respecting yourself. Come out of not having high character. Come out of not having high value. Don't worry about impressing others. Don't worry about who you're doing it for. Don't worry about none of that stuff. Focus in on who and what you are, so that you may live a life worthy of the call that has been given to you. And not just that, but focus in on who and what you are, so that you may do the things that you know that you need to do. There's nothing worse on this earth than a person who has the ability to be and just won't. Ability to do and just won't. Ability to think and just won't. I really want everybody who's under the sound of my voice right now to take the power back away from the people who you give it to, and give it back to yourself. The standards that you set, the way that you choose to be, understand that the reason you set that is so you can give that. You can be that. Not so you can meet people energy for energy. Not so you can return people that... No. You set the standards in your life because you want to heal and you don't want to hurt. You want to pass out good seeds. And you don't want to pass out seeds that will go and lie on fertile ground and die. Infertile ground and die. And you also don't want to be infertile ground. So I beg of you, I'm pleading with you, please, do not stand by. Do not forego the ability that you have in order to be comfortable. In order to be comfortable in your state and in your mind and in your head. Don't forego it. Stand strong, stand tall in who and what you are. Stand strong and tall and be the person that you know you're meant to be. Please. Please stand strong and be tall. Come into fruition with the being that you're meant to be. Come close to yourself, hug yourself, love yourself. Stop giving away your power to people who don't deserve you. And stop giving away your abilities. Stop giving it away. You're worth more than that. You have so much more worth. And the fact is, the boundaries that you're looking to set start within you. Starts with you. Self-respect. Self-respect. Boundaries from self. I will not partake in this because it does this to me. I will not do this because it does this to me. Then, and only then, I will not allow this from this because it does this to me. I love y'all, man. And I pray to God that you guys take control of your life. We only gonna get better from here. Much love. God bless you. I'll see you next time.